go into the game leading the table at the moment. It's a challenge to stay there.
Rivals for over 120 years. One of those days where little, if nothing else, matters. That's on the longer. Sheer delight for Nottingham Forest. It's back up the crossbar and in. What a time to get it.
We need to start another run and continue that run in the challenge to get promoted.
Well, it was all looking so good for Stuart Pearce when these two sides met back in September. A 1-1 draw at the City Ground was part of a run that saw Forest go unbeaten in their opening 11 league games. But since then, the wheels have come off in spectacular fashion. They're without a win in 7 and have won just twice in their last 20. The pressure on this club legend is mounting. But it is a very different story for Pearce's opposite number, Steve McLaren, where the smile remains. Speculation regarding a move to the Premier League has faded of late. He remains focused on working there next season, but he wants to be there with the Rams. It is one of the biggest Skybet Championship fixtures of the season, the East Midlands Derby, the 96th competitive meeting between Derby County and Nottingham Forest, and it's live from the IPRO Stadium. And here is how the Skybet Championship looks ahead of kick-off. Nottingham Forest, without a win in the league since the 29th of November, now find themselves down in 13th and 10 points adrift of the playoff places. They're now nearer the bottom 3 than the top 6. Meanwhile, Derby County are bang in form. They've won their last 3 in the league. Only goal difference separates them and the leaders, Bournemouth. A win today will see them top the championship for the 3rd time this season, ahead of the 3 o'clock kick-offs. Well, last season, this East Midlands derby proved somewhat costly for the men in charge. After a 1-0 defeat at the City Ground last September, Nigel Clough was relieved of his duties as Derby County manager. And then just 6 months later here at the IPRO, after a 5-0 thrashing, Billy Davis's second spell in charge of Forest came to an end. The question, therefore, today is, can the Forest of this season get a desperately needed win against their in-form rivals and ease the pressure on Stuart Pearce? Peter Beagrie is alongside me this Saturday lunchtime. Peter, good to see you. 13 of the 24 Championship clubs have changed manager so far this season. Were it not a club legend in charge of Forest, would we be looking at another one?
Maybe. Results-based industry, we know how people can get flustered and knee-jerk reaction to negative results, and the hierarchy at Nottingham Forest, crying out for stability. They brought Stuart Pearce in to provide that, and at the moment there are still questions to be answered.
And one thing he's had on his side, and we'll see if that remains today, is the fans. Even when things have been going against them, they still chanted his name. If they get a chasing defeat here today, like Billy Davis had last season, does that support begin to disappear?
Well, again, it gives the owner a choice to make, doesn't it? I don't think so with this one result, but then again, when you look at the result here, the last time we were here, if there's anything anywhere near that, then it does reach a critical point, and the direct stark contrast between the start of the season to now, it's ridiculous, really. A lack of cohesion, a porous defence, and they were performing miracles as a team and playing well as individuals, and that's all disappeared.
And there's been much talk about the players that have been missing. This is the current injury list. Of course, Jack Hobbs has returned in the last couple of games. He starts again today. But Chris Cohen, a key player, Andy Reid as well, remain long-term absentees. Reid moving ever closer to fitness. Yes, we know they've been missing for long periods. Yes, that might mean they're no longer a top 6 challenger, but surely that doesn't explain 2 wins in 20.
Well, it doesn't explain it all, Simon. It's definitely mitigating circumstances. Some really big, important players there when we talk about what they've lacked, the leadership qualities, the 3 units, the talking through. Good teams are noisy teams, and there's big characters there, but you're right, the fall from grace has been so severe. To be 10 points outside the playoffs, there's not that excuse for there.
Let's switch things on to Derby County. We saw them in action against Mick McCarthy's Ipswich a week ago, and they ended that 12-match unbeaten run for Ipswich Town with a 1-0 win. Did this show us that Derby, despite what everyone said, can win in different ways if needs must?
Definitely, there was a plan B, wasn't there? The strength, the resilience that they showed against an Ipswich side who was strong and powerful and asked questions from set pieces as well. And I just saw the manager, his manner when he came out and he did the interview, he was absolutely bristling, as if to say, look, that was part of a performance where we proved the doubters wrong. There is a different way to us. There is a strength, a resolve and a resilience, not just in possession of the football, out of possession. We can put up against a side like Ipswich who's strong and hard working and have put people to the sword this season. season.
Let's talk about the game itself. You've picked out one of the key matchups, which are these two. Why have you gone for Cyrus Christie and Antonio as being one of the key battles in this game?
Well, I just look at Forest. You know, they've got to start on the front foot. They've got to try and be positive. And the only man who hasn't been affected by recent results is this man, Michail Antonio. You know, 10 goals this season, numerous assists. He's a ball carrier. It takes the pressure off the defence by carrying it 70, 80 yards. You've got to play him further up the pitch. He's been used as a wing back to show his versatility. But for me, he's the one who can hurt Derby County. And I picked it out because Cyrus Christie, he's been brilliant this season, replaced Andrea Wisdom, gets on the front foot, builds out from the back to Derby, and he's one of the guys who produces overlapping crosses as well. If he vacates that position and they can turn over possession and get it to Antonio, that's an area they can exploit.
Briefly, what's your feeling what's going to happen? Because a lot of Forest fans are fearing a similar outcome to this time last year.
It will all depend on the start. If Derby get an early goal, then confidence being at a low ebb and that you can see Forest folding, but, you know, they've got to get that early goal, Derby, and use home advantage to their advantage.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, after which we will hear from the two men in charge, Steve McLaren and Stuart Pearce as well, ahead of the 96 East Midlands Derby. Of course, a huge amount of local pride on the line, but for Derby, a chance not just to put one over their rivals, but to once again hit the top of the Championship. Kick-off is next. It is the big game in the Skybet Championship today. We're at the IPRO Stadium for the East Midlands Derby between Derby County, who know a win will take them top ahead of the 3 o'clock kickoffs, and Nottingham Forest, who are desperate for any kind of win. The 96 East Midlands Derby and also the 17th Brian Clough Trophy. The legend, of course, managed both of these clubs. Derby won it 8 times, Forest have won it 4. It's very much the icing on the cake for whichever side can get a win, and those all-important 3 points. Right, the teams are ready. Let's hear from the two men in charge. Stuart Pearce and Steve McLaren have been speaking to Jonathan Oakes.
Well, Steve, you go into this in really good form. The same can't be said of Forest. How much of a bearing do you think that might have today?
Absolutely nothing. No bearing whatsoever. You know, there's a lot of stories going on around this game, and we've just told the players, concentrate on the game, what happens on the field, and everybody should be talking about that, the game, not around our form, their form. Could be this, could be that. What's going to happen if this happens, that happens? Is it going to be 5-0 again? Is it going to... It's an absolute load of rubbish.
Derby will go in full of confidence, and obviously our form has been very patchy as of late, you know. But it's a one-off game. It often is, these Derby matches, as you see all over the country. So we have to approach it in that manner and make sure that we deliver a performance that our fans will go away proud of.
Do you go for the jugular from the start today?
We try to do that in every game, but you know, this is an opportunity. They've got players back. Gardner coming, a new signing. So they'll always believe that the next game is the one that can turn the fortunes, and that's what happens in this championship. It's as simple as that.
Well, these are days and games that you should relish as a footballer. You know, they don't get better than this. The Derby games are, you know, are symptomatic of what English and British football on the map across the world. Why a lot of people tune into English football, because of the passion, because of the rivalry that we offer on the football pitch.
Well, he's relishing it, and we are too. Your commentators here at the IPRO, Andy Hitchcliffe and Bill Leslie.
Thanks, Simon. Let's have a check on the teams for you. First of all, Jordan Ibe has started the last 4 league games for Derby, but he was recalled by Liverpool this week. That leaves a gap that's filled by Jamie Ward. He'll come in and start his first league game since October. John Eustace is suspended for this one after his red at Ipswich last week. He would have missed anyway as he's had surgery. So Omar Mascarell gets his first taste of this fixture. Craig Bryson, hat-trick hero in the 5-0 win here last year, comes in for Jeff Hendrick. That is the 3rd change from the win at Portman Road last week. Forest could do with a lift. They do have one with the return of Henry Lansbury from suspension. Another plus the news that top scorer Britta Sombalonga has been class fit to start after an injury he picked up in the defeat against Sheffield Wednesday last weekend. Jack Hobbs captains aside. He starts just his 2nd league game since these two met in September. Kelvin Wilson back after missing out last weekend. Significantly, perhaps, none of these players started that 5-0 defeat here last March. 18-year-old Mason Bennett hasn't featured at all for Derby this season due to being on loan and then through injury. He is on their bench today alongside Darren Bent, who is set for a Derby debut. Forest drop Chris Burke and David Vaughan down to their substitutes. A packed house at the IPRO, glorious winter sunshine, and a local derby of the highest calibre. That's all to come in a couple of moments.
Add even more excitement to your season with Skybet's generous sign-up offer. Place a £5 bet and we'll give you a £20 free bet in return. Place accumulators with easy-to-use sports coupons. Or try the new Skybet tracker, bringing together live football data, bet status and cash out in one place. Download the Skybet app today for your free £20. Skybet. Are you in?
Testing times for Nottingham Forest as they come into this, the 96th East Midlands derby. Just 2 wins in 20 for Stuart Pearce. He says he doesn't feel the pressure, but there is certainly mounting.
Well, I think in terms of recent form, yes, I do understand that a derby game can be turned on its head. But surely you have to mention that 5-0 defeat of Forest last season. It's not necessarily we expect to do that again, but the manner in which we went about things in that game is important. You're looking to replicate that again today.
Might be significant, maybe just a coincidence, but Derby have 7 starters from that afternoon in their starting lineup here. Nottingham Forest have none. Boris de Vries in goal for Nottingham Forest, starting back-to-back league games for the first time this season. Among Stuart Pearce's search for a successful formula has been a change of goalkeeper. Carl Darlow, who had been ever-present in goal up until the defeat against Sheffield Wednesday, remains on the bench.
Yeah, you can understand why managers continually change things, looking for that combination that will work. When you've won 2 in, 20 games, you continually have to mix things up, but it's just not clicked so far for Forest.
Osborne into the middle here. He's pulled away to the back post. If the delivery is good, Keogh there to block it at the near.
It's really sloppy defensively from Derby. 2 players go towards Britt Assombalonga here. They don't need to do it. That's why Assombalonga is able to flick that ball into space, and then suddenly Forest are breaking. This will be the plan. Flick that ball in behind the Derby defence and then really flood the penalty area with attacking midfielders.
Osborne will take collision inside the penalty area, so Mikel Antonio and Jake Buxton both go to ground. Nothing in it though.
Well, Antonio is absolutely livid, and referees very rarely give fouls, but to me he's got goal-sided. Buxton there, Antonio. The arms do tend to go around his shoulder even before the ball is played in. There's a clear foul there from Buxton. He's got a hold of Antonio. To me that's a penalty.
You think of Ryan Shawcross and the discipline that he's had meted out to him in the Premier League by referees there this season, and you have to consider Buxton got away with one there. Andrew Madley, our referee here for this East Midlands derby this afternoon. Assombalonga beyond Buxton, but carrying it out of play.
A major talking point in the opening 6 minutes for me. It is a penalty. I just wonder, can the referee see it clearly? Well, he can. He's looking right down the barrel at it. I think he's probably thinking about the ball more than what's happening in the 6-yard box. And really, once that ball is played, he has to switch his attention to the players. And to me, he's looking right at that. Why he's not pointing to the spot is beyond me.
Well, maybe in his view, he's also seen at the background a couple of other incidents which involve Forest players and Derby defenders wrestling with each other. It's one of this season's big talking points, isn't it? The clampdown or lack of it, and holding from set-piece situations inside the penalty area.
Well, the problem is if you don't clamp down on it, defenders know they can get away with it, so they'll just grab hold of the attacking players, and that shouldn't be happening.
Martin benefiting from a loose header from Hobbs. Ward getting his cross at Hughes, making the run. Forest to there in the nick of time.
And this is where Jamie Ward is so effective when he gets isolated on that left-hand side up against full-backs. He's got the tricks. He's got that explosive pace just to make half a yard for himself. Just a bit of the sting is taken out of the cross. Todd Kane does well just to block that ball in from Jamie Ward.
Hughes, who had a standout game at Portland Road. Here's Cyrus Christie now. Now Mascarell. Still waiting for his first goal in the Derby County colours, the online Real Madrid man.
Probably see why he hasn't scored for Derby yet. He's really tempted into the shot. No one in a red shirt gets close enough to him, and that can't happen. When a midfielder breaks into that type of position, someone has to step out from the defence and make life hard for him. They don't, and that's why he shoots.
Couple of blows for Derby County this week. Things have largely been going in their direction, but the sudden recall of Jordan Ibe by Liverpool, and a real fixture in the side and a real inspiration to it down that left flank for them recently. And then the news, they knew John Eustace was going to be suspended for this game after his late red card at Ipswich. Didn't know he'd have to have surgery and miss 6 weeks or so, we gather. Here's Cyrus Christie looking to run Lehigh. Gets back. Mikel Antonio first on the scene. Osborne wide. Antonio has only one thing in his mind, and that's to take it on himself.
There was space to his left-hand side. Ben Osborne in acres of space because Cyrus Christie had burst forward for Derby. It's a bit selfish here from Antonio. Should be playing that ball in, just sliding it into Ben Osborne so he can whip the ball in for Assombalonga.
Assombalonga. Loose bit of possession from Derby. Forest can benefit. Osborne. Cyrus Christie was left out when these two sides met in September. Ryan Shotton, more defensively minded, was preferred in his position. Since then, Christie has cemented his position and his reputation as the #1 right back here at the club since his move from Coventry.
Stuart Pearce looking to get a foothold as early as you possibly can in the game, and Forest have started well. They're denying Derby the ball. It's vitally important if you're going to get results at the IPRO.
Antonio doing well. Took it away from Keogh, but couldn't keep his shot down.
Well, Richard Keogh is absolutely livid with Omar Mascarell because he should be screening Mikel Antonio here. As this throw comes the way of Antonio, it's far too easy. Mascarell gets pulled out of position, and that's why Antonio can twist and turn. Should really be keeping that down. It's a good chance.
Well, it's so key for Nottingham Forest and any possible revival, any chance of bridging that 10-point gap between themselves and the playoff places. They've got to get Mikel Antonio back scoring again like he was earlier on this season. Hasn't scored since November. That's 9 games now without.
The problem for Mikel Antonio is that Forest are normally playing so deep because they're out of possession. He's having to drop back halfway back inside his own half, so when they do win the ball back, he's having no effect on the game because he's far too deep. He's doing his defensive work, but you need him in the final third to get those crosses in and score the goals that Forest desperately need.
This game is, of course, about more than goals. Chips in with his fair share of assists. And scoring goals wherever it's been across the pitch have been problematic for Forest recently. Just one in their last 4 games, and that was the consolation. You might have seen in front of the Sky cameras that Assombalonga got late on when they're already 3-0 down at home to Birmingham City. Martin. Also pressurised by Lehigh, fouled by the American defender.
There has to be a way when you're up against Johnny Russell. You have to get as close as possible. Try and pinch the ball back. Just oversteps the mark, Lehigh. It's a clear push.
corners. Mascarell does do his screening job on that occasion, takes it away from the Sombalonga. Now Russell. Hughes. Ward looking for the return. Lehigh's there. Ward with a biting challenge. Bryson blocked by Wilson. Russell to try to keep the Derby pressure on. Mascarell.
All the talk this season is about Chris Martin's goals, but just look out for his awareness here. He's not selfish, he knows exactly where Craig Bryson is and he lays it on a plate for him. It's a good block in the end from Kelvin Wilson, but really good centre-forward play from Chris Martin.
The burst from Tesha. Mikel Antonio. Getting no change whatsoever out of Craig Forsyth. Mentioned the loss of John Eustace. There is a small plus in the column of returning players, or a significant one. George Thorne started training again this week. So first team return for the man who was on loan here last season so influentially, but injured in pre-season this year. It will certainly help out the fight to the finish in the months ahead. Derby look to go one step better than last year and take promotion automatically rather than have to take the playoff route. Saw them fall at Wembley to Queen's Park Rangers. Russell. And Osborne, the homegrown contingent out there for Nottingham Forest.
It's not going to be easy for Forest because virtually there's a Sombalonga trying to cope with the two Derby centre-halves. Everybody else for Forest has dropped back into their own half. So when they do win possession back, it's very hard getting that ball up to their centre-forward. Hard for a Sombalonga to get on the ball and then bring his team up the field. They're finding it difficult. And they overturn possession, getting back up the field, Forest.
Ward will certainly get up the field for Derby. Bryson. Deflection, carries it wide for a Derby corner.
Well, it's understandable, Forest are bound to be nervous. All these quality attacking players that Derby have. Really good play from Jamie Ward. Just knowing the right time to release a pass. You can't beat everybody. Give it to a teammate. He can have a shot himself.
Russell's corner. Oh, it's an own goal! Agony for Lansbury, ecstasy for Derby County, and they put Forest to the sword again here at the IPRO.
Oh, it's hard on Henry Lansbury. He simply doesn't see this, and it all stems from Chris Martin making a run towards that near post. That means that Lansbury can't see the ball until it's too late, and it really just cannons off him, can't do anything about it. It's a wonderful set piece, it's pacey, it's whipped in, but watch Chris Martin get across that near post. He doesn't head it, and he makes sure that Lansbury can't see it, and that's why it's 1-0 Derby.
Well, if it was a test of character before for Stuart Pearce at Nottingham Forest, that is multiplied now after that unfortunate Henry Lansbury own goal.
You'll have to go back to the set piece, the delivery from Johnny Russell. He whips that ball in so much pace, it's difficult for defenders to deal with it. An attacker could flick the ball in, Martin could have scored from that position. It's so hard for defenders to deal with it when the flight of the ball is so flat and pacey. You see there, Lansbury just can't sort his forehead out and turns it past his own goalkeeper.
Ward looking for Russell in the middle. Another corner. The pressure ratcheted up on a brittle Nottingham Forest.
Classic derby there into Chris Martin, a midfield runner beyond him, Craig Bryson, then it's out to a wide man, then a cross comes in. That's what they've been doing so well this season.
Wilson on the edge of his 6-yard area, getting it behind to give Mascarell another chance to whip it in. Players going for the same ball, a Sambalonga, one of those.
There's no communication, disarray in these set pieces from Forest. It's just all about the quality. Mascarell whipping that ball in with pace into the 6-yard box, a nightmare for defenders.
Third corner in quick succession from Omar Mascarell. Another good delivery, this time though into the side netting. Started off well. And indeed it did take a deflection. I thought initially it had done.
It just seemed to brush off possibly the chest of Kelvin Wilson at the near post. He was certainly first to the ball. I feel it's just brushed the Forest defender, and that's why the referee has changed his mind. It's not the greatest ball in from Mascarell. Just catches Wilson there at the near post, possibly Lansbury as well. It definitely is another corner.
Mascarell goes a little deeper, headed away this time by Hobbs as far as Ward. Jamie Ward deflected! And wonderful reflexes from Doris de Vries to prevent a Derby second.
It's a magnificent tip over, so much pace, change the direction of the ball as well. I think the thing that helps out Doris de Vries here is virtually straight at him, gives him the opportunity to stick up that arm and make a terrific save, keep Forest in the game, really.
Russell, de Vries, an excellent take that was. And as he went to run out, he was tripped over by Keogh. Maybe it's Ward.
I think it's Jamie Ward. He has to be booked for this as well, because he clearly just trips the goalkeeper who's looking to get Forest up the field. It's really silly. It's a good claim, actually, under a lot of pressure from Doris de Vries. He just steps past Jamie Ward, trying to get Forest moving, and Ward just clips his ankles. No need for it. Has to be stronger, the Forest keeper, coming off his line and claiming, but that's stupidity from Jamie Ward.
Sort of needless one that so often proves costly later on in the match. Hughes, stronger than Osborne in the challenge. This is Christie. Russell. Hughes has continued his run. And for Cyrus Christie. Osborne had tracked the fullbacks run well. We're not even handy at the halfway point of the first half. It's having all the hallmarks of a long afternoon for Stuart Pearce and his side.
And this is where Forest really do have to stand firm. OK, they're in a really terrible run. They've gone a goal behind. They cannot afford to go 2 down. They'll have a real struggle getting back into the game if that happens. So they've got to stand firm here, try and get their foot on the ball again and just take some of the sting out of the game.
And then they've got to try and plot to find a way back into it against the Derby side, who haven't even conceded since Stephen Whittaker scored here for Norwich before Christmas. They've played 4 matches in all competitions since then. Mikel Antonio. Down to Rosberg. Lehigh. Lansbury. Hobbs.
This is the worrying factor for Forest. They're a goal down, completely dominated, and as I say, if they do concede a second, I do fear for them.
last time out at home to Sheffield Wednesday saw them drop into the bottom half of the table. The first time in the best part of 2 years. Mikel Antonio with the long throw. Chris Martin back there to head clear. Todd Kane. Lehigh. Ward wrestling it away from Antonio. Now Bryson. Ward. Christie. Lansbury. Everton will close down on Kelvin Wilson. So not quickly enough still. Wilson's headed ball not controlled by Lehigh. And even the simple things eluding Nottingham Forest just at the moment.
To stay out there, but it's not worth taking a risk. There's players like Paul Coots, Jeff Hendrick on the bench. If he needs to make a change and take Hughes off, he has to do that.
Martin. For all the things he's achieved in the colours of Derby County. Well, there's 100th goal in English football, of course, that winner last time out, which he took so well at Ipswich Town. He's never scored against Nottingham Forest. Unbelievably, they got 5 here. He wasn't among the scorers.
That could easily change today, but it's not just his goals for me. Chris Martin's hold-up play, the way the attacking midfielders of Derby into the game. This system that Steve McLaren likes to play is absolutely perfect for him.
Buxton has come forward. Chris Martin also has some competition for his place from a new arrival, Darren Bent. Didn't come off the bench at his former club, Ipswich, last time out. We'll be hoping to get a touch of the ball here at some stage. Speculation that his signing was to bolster a plan B, if you like, for Derby, that they could go to 4-4-2, that they have gone to sometime in the past. Placing Leon Best with Darren Bent. Perception in these parts is it's more likely that could be an option from opposition. Here's Russell getting in behind Lehigh. Johnny Russell battling away. Lehigh just recovering and stabbing it behind.
It's a really important recovery as well. Lehigh's watching the ball. Johnny Russell is expecting it. He's already on the move. It's a great first touch with the shoulder. But the fullback does well, sticks to his task, and timely challenge in the end.
Now this is the side from which Derby forced the own goal from a corner. Different taker, though. Mascaral will take this one. Johnny Russell come out wide to offer support. Mascaral takes. Forest clear as far as Russell. Bryson. to Craig Bryson. Kane comes across the block.
Well, Craig Bryson moving off the ball is sensational. Every time he lays it off, he's looking to get into space and give his teammate an option of playing the ball back to him.
Forsyth, Wilson didn't get the contact. Martin there, Lehigh got his head to. Forest making a meal of clearing this one, eventually they do.
I'm just wondering what Chris Martin was thinking of there. He could have got off his feet and volleyed that goalwards.
Kane looking for the diagonal ball towards Osborne, but Trisky got there first. Derby build again through Mascarell, now Hughes. Osborne for Lehigh, goes Will Hughes. Advantage play. Lehigh. Osborne. For Mikel Antonio, he'll get there ahead of Keogh. Russell tracking back to take it away from Osborne. Forest throw to Lehigh. Forsyth away. Good old-fashioned battle between Wilson and Martin ends up on the deck, and by the look of things it'll be Wilson who ends up in the book.
He's one of those, Chris Martin. He does love a wrestle with a centre-half. Once that ball bounces, Kelvin Wilson has to be careful. He's saying that it was a bit of 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. This is what Martin does so well, backs into defenders. Just that arm across, really, into the face of Martin is why the free kick was given and why Kelvin Wilson has been booked.
Christie. Hughes. Conversation with the bench. I think it's a problem with his knee that's worrying him. And goes Mascarell. Osborne brings it away. Mascarell hunting down, going to ground, not getting anywhere near the ball at that second attempt.
Well, it's a Derby game, so you're going to go flying into challenges, but you just have to be careful. Derby have been the better side. They're on top. They're a goal ahead. You don't want to do anything silly. When Mascarell goes chasing this, I'm just wondering, what is he going to do? Just stay on your... because Osborne's going nowhere.
6 red cards in the last 8 meetings between these two clubs will tell you that there is a history of indiscipline in recent meetings. Antonio. First time we've seen Kane come forward. Could be to good effect. Ended up tripping over Forsyth, but he has got the corner.
This is a major opportunity for Forest as well, Todd Kane, to get this set piece, but the big lads now can come from the back. Just take a breath here now with the set piece, put a bit of quality in, put some pressure on that Derby defence. The last 10-15 minutes, Forest has struggled really to get into the attacking third.
Easy to forget in what has since come to pass. Nottingham Forest had a very good shout for an early penalty involving Jake Buxton and Mikel Antonio that was waved away by the referee. Let's have some instructive words there as it's fired in. Tasha closest to it for Forest, but Russell should be able to clear. Antonio's long throw, with by Christie. Lansbury, whose own goal separates the sides. Sombolonga, Hobbs.
Well, Jack Hobbs had actually stayed up for the set piece. It's a difficult chance for a centre-half on the half volley. Once again, Jake Buxton from set pieces. His arms all over. Mikel Antonio once again is clearly pulling the shirt. The referee's got a good view. And he's getting away with, what, a couple now, really. Referee could easily have pointed to the spot for either of them. This was a major chance for Chris Martin. Looking disarray, Forest, when those crosses are coming in. I think Martin's actually looking for Johnny Russell, really. He could get off his feet here and volley this goalwards, or take it on his chest and then shoot. I don't know why he's passing up that opportunity.
And he's found Bryson here. Ward now. Christie. Russell's touch might turn out to be a good one. Wilson now Lee High. Away by Lansbury. Some good meaty challenges flying in now in the midfield battles. Chris Martin bearing down. His run blocked off. Good experienced dive by Kelvin Wilson, otherwise he was looking for similar fruits to the run he made against Ipswich last week that led to his goal.
Absolutely, will chase lost causes, and as centre-halves you have to know you can't allow that ball to bounce from in behind you, because Chris Martin will keep on running.
This is Tesha now to Mikel Antonio. Forest have men forward here if they can get it right. Mikel Antonio. And a heads-down approach from him when he had options around him.
Yeah, that was the problem at times with Mikel Antonio. He does just concentrate on the ball. There was 2 or 3 white shirts around him, needed to get his head up. Teammates in space, he was more concerned about maybe getting a shot in himself. You see, he's just concentrating on the ball. When you do that, it just allows the opposition to nip in and take the ball off you.
Cushioning it well for Bryson, who is sived down. There'll be trouble here for Gardner. Yellow card for Loney.
It's one of those challenges when you make your mind up to try and win the ball, you have to make sure you get it. In the end, he's nowhere near it. Again, Bryson breaking forward. Nowhere near it. Gary Gardner deserves to be booked for that. To deliver. It's come out to Bryson. Spinning ball awkward, but he's managed to get it to Will Hughes. The block will take it behind for a Derby corner. And on a cold day, this is not where you want the ball to strike. Will Hughes trying to bend this into the top corner. It's really brave. Lehigh throws himself in the way. He certainly takes one for the team here.
Johnny Russell back on corner kick duties. Lehigh winces and takes his position. Took the similar delivery to that which led to the goal that separates the sides. The same man headed it, this time in a more satisfactory direction from a Forest point of view. Mascaral now. Mark your card for a cracking Super Sunday from the Barclays Premier League. West Ham against Hull City. That's from 12:30 Sky Sports 1. precursor to the main event, Manchester City against Arsenal, 3:30, Sky Sports 1. After going behind after 16 minutes to that Lansbury own goal, it was very important. Derby pressure, Forest didn't concede another quickly. Plus side for Stuart Pearce, they're still very much in this. Lehigh keeping it in, Osborne helping it on. Hughes away. Lansbury. Another undersold that one, and Ward leaps in. It'll stay in as well. The Derby counter very much on here. It's come all the way through to Johnny Russell. Forest got men back well. Now they can break through Osborne.
I don't think Will Hughes is completely happy. He's bursting forward there, but he's not moving freely at all. Jamie Ward played the ball his way, just couldn't get there. I think he's labouring.
We gather the intent from the Derby benches to try and get him through to half-time and then see about a change. Steve McLaren still up top, which is a signal that he's pretty happy with the way things are going. He was down after about 20 minutes here when they took on Norwich City just before Christmas.
Ball breaks in behind Richard Keogh. The one thing I'm thinking is Britta Assombalonga does not need to go anywhere near him. Don't touch him, just raises his arms slightly. Don't think there's an awful lot of contact, but he just needs to stay out of Keogh's way because the centre-half is going to give away a corner.
Going in a little too strongly on the German Tescher.
He's played really well actually, Mascarell. He's one of those players like John Eustace, just sits in midfield, controls things, allows Bryson and Hughes to play forward. The fullbacks can go and join in. Holding midfielder is vitally important in modern football.
He's learning on the job as well, the 21-year-old from Tenerife. It's up by Buxton. Lansbury in strongly, too strong on Will Hughes. In the first half, Derby free kick. So many differences from when they met 4 months ago. Forest were top then, taking 13 points from a possible 15 at the start. Derby, you felt that still suffering with a little bit of a playoff hangover. Only managed 7 out of a possible 15 themselves. Since that draw, though, there's been a 23-point swing in Derby's favour. It's all fallen into place largely for Steve McLaren's side as it's all fallen apart for Stuart Pearce. Strong challenge on Hughes by Lehigh. Oh, Hobbs has made a mess of that. Fortunately for him, Kane can get it away.
It doesn't seem to matter which side the crosses come in from. Jack Hobbs and Kelvin Wilson look mightily worried every time a ball does come into the 6-yard box. Jack Hobbs there just didn't sort his feet out. Should be clearing that very easily, and he knows it.
He's one of many Nottingham Forest players who's spent longer on the treatment table than on the pitch this season. It's only his 3rd game back this after injury. May still be a little bit of rust in the system. Certainly able to be exposed in a contest of this sort of intensity in East Midlands derby. Ward. That's the return from Martin. Challenge from Lansbury. Mascarell to Hughes. Will Hughes.
Well, he actually puts his laces through this ball. Really needs to be striking it with his instep and just bending it back towards the goal. But how about his first touch? This ball is gunned at him. He kills it stone dead. He just needs to bend that ball rather than really smash it as hard as he does.
For all his qualities, 16 games now since Will Hughes last got a goal, back in September. Lansbury giving it away. Martin bringing it clear. Russell now, early ball in. Ward attacked it.
Well, Jack Hobbs does really well. He appreciates where this ball is going to end up. He sees the run of Jamie Ward. And this time he's first to it and clears his lines, but really sloppy from Forest, giving the ball away. But this is great defending from the centre-half.
Derby stepping it up as we approach half-time. So important, you feel, for Forest's hopes in this match that they're not breached again before the break.
We've just seen a good piece of defending from Jack Hobbs, but earlier when this comes in, ball breaks for Cyrus Christie. The fullbacks for Derby do love to swing those crosses in. It should be very easy for a centre-half to clear. Could even have controlled it before he clears it. Just a sign of the real nervousness at the back from Forest.
Offside header. Gardner. Mikel Antonio making a good run. Can he get the finish? Well, he tried to feed a Sombalonga and Buxton could dig it out.
Well, Craig Forsyth gets caught ball watching here. He's watching Lansbury, not watching Antonio, and that ball is played. Antonio is onside, in behind him. Should he be shooting from there? Possibly.
Antonio, Buxton rose above Hobbs to nod it behind for a Forest corner.
That chance we just saw for Antonio has to keep happening. He has to mix up his game. He can't always get the ball into his feet. He has to make those runs inside Craig Forsyth and look for those forward balls from midfielders.
And Mikel Antonio saying to the referee, keep an eye on Buxton here. Grant getting it away as far as Lansbury. Gets it back to Osborne. Showed too much of that to Russell. Some hunger from the Scotsman to close down there, and from Hughes. Bryson should be able to deal with this. Now Hughes. Mikel Antonio. We're nearly at the half-time whistle now. What are your first half thoughts, Andy?
Well, Stuart Pearce will be happy, of course, not with the scoreline. The side have managed to stay in the game. At 1-0, you always have a chance of getting back into it. Steve McLaren will want more from his side in the second half to really kill the game off. But when it went 1-0, I thought Derby were going to run away with it, and they haven't.
Sombalonga taking it early, fizzing it just over. And as if to demonstrate the point you were just making, this contest is very much alive.
He's hardly had any service into his feet, Britta Sombalonga, but when he does get it, he can make things happen, and this is, well, it's audacious. Outside of the boot, he's unlucky.
And Sombalonga, who opened the scoring when these two met in September. It was Derby who had to come from behind on that occasion. They managed it, a 1-1 draw. They'll take a one-goal lead in here. The second top scorers in the Championship, but it was a Forest player who put through his own net. Henry Lansbury's 16th minute own goal means half-time in the East Midlands derby. It is Derby County 1, Nottingham Forest 0.
At a half-time of this fixture last season, Derby County were on their horses and riding off into the sunset at half-time because they were 3-0 up. But that moment from a Sombalonga right at the end there It's Forest, at the moment as it stands, are still very much in this game. Peter Beagrie is with me. We'll hear from him when we come back. Nothing Lansbury could do about that, but it has given Derby the lead at half-time. And for Stuart Pearce, the pressure continues to mount.
Oh, that lad's got electric pace.
They stay on course for silverware in the Capital One Cup.